October 7th attacks in Israel has been selected as its new leader. A Pakistani national with alleged ties to Iran has been arrested and charged with plotting a murder-for-hire scheme targeting U.S. government officials and politicians, according to charging documents unsealed Tuesday.
The individual, 46-year-old Asif Merchant, is accused of planning to assassinate current and former government officials.
Renewed concerns about the U.S. economy could significantly impact Americans beyond this week's stock market free fall.
Wall Street analysts now predict a series of interest rate cuts.
The Treasury and State Department announced sanctions on the Paraguayan tobacco company Tabacalera del Este S.A. for providing financial support to former Paraguayan President Horacio Manuel Cartes Jara, who had been previously blacklisted by the United States.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of fact. I tell you, fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Yeah.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog. You make me laugh.
Oh, you make me laugh. Ha, 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 ha. Oh, good morning, you dirty, rotten people. It is Thursday, August 8th, 2024. The summer has ended in New York. Just ended. Without any warning. I'm out of here. Kind of like me at a party. Like I sneak out and nobody even notices I'm leaving, and then I'm gone. Well, this is what summer has done here. Hopefully it will come back, but it's not coming back in time for my gig tomorrow night. I can almost guarantee that. What do we got here? I just want to think it's probably 90% chance of no gig tomorrow. That's what I have a gig likelihood app. Yes. What does it say? Tomorrow, Friday. It says here, the world will end on August 9th, 2024. So no gig, I guess, unless we're doing it on another planet. So yeah, and you know what? Actually, yesterday it was cold. I was actually concerned the heat might come on in the house yesterday. It was not good. Anyway, so I do have actually a facility gig during the day tomorrow, so it's not like it's a total washout because we'll be an indoor gig. But you know what? It is what it is. Anyway, are you helping to, or we have somebody in the chat room already. Are you hoping to sell lots of alcohol at your gig? I think pretty much always, Cypress Rodeo. Welcome to the chat room, Cypress Rodeo. We have not seen you before, but I think basically I am in the business of selling alcohol. Yes, I am. I am not proud of it. It's not what I always wanted to do with my life, but I sell a lot of beer, some whiskey, But that's basically my job, is really a liquor salesman. That's what I do. Anyway, there's not a whole lot going on. I don't even know what's going on. Oh, John Daddio. Hey, John, Cypress. Where did you get Cypress Rodeo from? Speaking of rodeos, our friend Ron Kane is down there. I brought my cowboy hat, but it doesn't fit over the headphones. I brought it in honor of Ron being in Dallas today. That's kind of weird, right? But we won't do this all day. My radio idol, Don Imus. Speaking of racism, today is we are having fun with racism. In case you didn't know, Don Imus wore a cowboy hat every day, pretty much, on his radio show. I don't know how he did it, because I can't get the headphones to sit right backwards like that, so I could get the cowboy hat on my head. Anyway, we hope Ron is dressing appropriately in Dallas tonight. I see that our friend I Am Racist is back with us today, just fresh off the boat flu, and just in time for the discussion. Now, the racism discussion will be in hour 2 today. In the first hour, we're going to have, well, I'm expecting to have, you never know with this program, to be honest with you. We're expecting to have a conversation with a speech pathologist, which, might not sound like ready for yucks and laugh it up time, and it might not be, but I am curious about the whole profession of speech pathology, because a pathologist is kind of like a detective. They're trying to piece together a story of how something came to be so that you can address it. Now, to me, speech pathology, if somebody has a speech problem, it's really only, well, we'll find out. I don't want to have the conversation before she gets here. Anyway, I'm interested in having the conversation. If you're not, just throw shit at me. That's what you do anyway. Just throw shit at the screen. I won't feel it, and we'll all be happy. So yeah, that's where we're going to go today. Anyway, the Olympics. I'm not sure what's going on with the Olympics. It seems to be the 2024 Summer Olympics was the Olympics so far, the Olympics of genitals. Yeah, pretty much. It was all about cocks and vaginas and things like that. I think they've run out of cocks and vaginas. And so things got boring. Like there's no news because they're all out. I don't know. Maybe somebody stateside can get over there pretty quick and kind of reinvigorate the games with a huge Johnson or Taco Tuesday or something. But other than that, I guess people are bored with it. On the politics front, the Democratic ticket is steamrolling. It's causing panic in the Republicans, and I, for one, am glad to be here witnessing it. Anyway, we're going to meet the gentleman in the waiting patiently in the green room to talk about Dallas, Texas, and Ron Kane, and say things behind his back while he's not here. And then we'll get to the first guest sometime in the next 10 minutes or so, probably, potentially. I don't know. Do I have a guest estimator on my app on my phone? Yes, it says 45% chance guest will show up. Anyway, in the meantime, please enjoy this message from our sponsors, Daily High Club.
With humble East Coast beginnings in 2015, Daily High Club is the premier destination for glass water pipes, vaporizers, and consumption accessories. If you're looking to elevate your smoking game to the next level, you're in the right place. With over 1 million top-quality smoking products sold, and with a growing base of over 10,000 monthly subscribers worldwide, we deliver the ultimate smoking experience. But Daily High Club is not just a retailer, we're lovers of the smoking scene ourselves, working with giants like Tommy Chong, Snoop Dogg, Chanel West Coast, and more. Ready to join the Daily High Club? Let our experts curate your collection with our awesome El Primo monthly subscription box, or grab one of our fun and unique pieces from our smoke shop. Click the link in the description below this video to get this party started now.
I love that now.
No.
Look at GD trying to take my
Oh
spot.
man, this room has been so white this last week. It's so good to have you back.
It's actually been 2 weeks. 2 weeks to this day since we've seen his ugly face here on this program. So, good morning, GD.
Good morning, America, and get out of my spot, Stephen. No, just no.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Get out of his spot, Stephen.
Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com. Are you finding it harder to find the joy in racism? Are the old racist tropes just not doing it for you anymore? Well, try Coffee with the Dog's new book, Racist Slurs for Dummies. Order today and get Sexism for Simpletons. MindDogTV.com. Enjoy the suffering.
Yeah. Well, I am a little upset and I hope you're feeling better. I hope the boat flu hasn't lingered too much for you. I know you're doing an interactive show tonight. You're not going out to spread your boat flu to more people.
No, that's true. I have a little fluid in the lungs right now.
I'm sorry about that. I couldn't help myself.
It was my fault. I should have not inhaled. I was
I told you not to swallow.
I was gonna say you shouldn't have tried swimming, man. You know you guys can't swim.
I told you to be a spitter. You didn't hear me say be a spitter, and then but you were enjoying it.
I thought you said something else. It sounded like a racial slur the way you said it.
Well, this is the thing with this and racism.
So that's why spitter, please.
Yeah. I don't know about this end racism stuff. It's working out pretty good for me. Systemic racism is working out pretty good for me.
Who wants to end it?
Yeah.
I thought it was
supposed to end at like noon, I think.
Well, the guest today wants to end it. He wants to end systemic racism. The second guest.
Oh, ending systemic racism. I thought he meant comedic racism. Systemic racism, yeah, we should end that. But
no, it's working out fine for me. That's all.
It was working out fine for me, but people caught on. You know?
Yeah.
See, I got in real trouble because I called racism gay, and they were like, "Whoa, dude!" And I was like, "I don't know what's happening." So
wow.
Yeah, I'm all confused.
Everybody knows racism is retarded, not gay.
Oh
man, we're already
fucked up. Okay.
We are deep in. There's nobody left to offend. We're only like 12 minutes into the program, and there's nobody left to offend.
We're deep in offense. Let's go.
We haven't offended old people yet.
Oh,
except for maybe by our appearance.
Man, it smells like Ben Gay and Shaman here. Thanks, Matt.
Oh well. Very good. Now we're complete. Ron Kane.
Is Ron not going to be here today because he's in Dallas?
I know he should be able to be here, but maybe a cowboy hat is just.
He said something about going to Texas, steers and queers. He's not bringing any horns. So
there he is. There he is.
Ron Kane is here. Let's
see, no horns, steers and queers. Hold on. There we go.
That's the way. Yeah, there you go.
Morning,
Ron. Where's your cowboy hat? I brought a cowboy hat for you. You want it?
No cowboy hat. Just me.
There'll be a lot of them tonight.
Nice of you to join us, Ron. I'm supposed to be one on CPT, not you.
I needed a breakfast this morning, so I had to run to the Tom Thumb that's next door.
I think you are the one supposed to be on PPC. Or THC, or one of those. Anyway, so there'll be plenty of cowboy hats tonight. Have you seen cowboy hats yet? You had to have seen cowboy hats. No, the airport. Come on.
No, actually, no, I didn't.
I can't get through Dallas Fort Worth without seeing a ton of cowboy hats all over the place. Not that I mind cowboy hats. I have a cowboy hat. It's fine, but
it's true. Matt has a bumper sticker that says "Cowboys' butts drive me nuts." I've seen it.
No, it's funny though. The night before I left, we were at our local dive bar, and there was a guy that actually came in there, and he had the cowboy hat on and the blue jeans and the long shirt and the cowboy boots. And I was just laughing, but according to my son, that guy is like during the day he puts on horseshoes and things like that. So like his costume makes sense.
You know, we have a guy here. We have a guy here that like frequent. We have a guy here that
he's like a shoe or a
Walmart, and
blacksmith.
he wears
So go ahead.
cowboy hat and bedazzled shirt and pants and boots. Not a farm in sight.
Steven's becoming a Willie. He just ignores that other people are talking and just plows right through.
I'm not used to GD being here anymore. It's
Well, it's not GD. Don't blame it on him. You do this to everybody. You pummeled Ron into submission.
It's like going. It's like.
Now that's hard to do because Ron likes to be pummeled, but not to submission.
No, Ron, you could have brought breakfast for everybody.
Yeah, dude. What the hell?
I already ate, but
every time I get bagels, I bring them for everybody. They're right over there. I leave a whole spread out. No, you just gave me COVID.
Matt, can you email me an everything bagel with cream cheese?
I mean both flu, not COVID.
Yeah, I have cruise flu.
All right. Have any of you guys ever had a problem with speech impediment, or have to go to speech therapy or any of that kind of stuff?
Nope.
I had to adjust my speech patterns once I got my teeth fixed.
I actually had to go to speech therapy in second grade. I was fine kindergarten and first grade. They sent me in second grade, and then I guess they figured it out. But I'm curious about the whole profession of speech pathology. Look, I'm reverting back to it. Did you see that?
Now, when I was in kindergarten, my first report cards, had a note to my mother, and it said that your son is very bright. Talking about me, not the other one. Your son is very bright, but he.
So why did she lie? Well, first of all, she started out by lying, but go ahead.
I was my mother's son. That's not a lie.
No, the bright part.
Oh, you said started off. She said starts off with your son.
Oh,
so your son is very bright, but he does not talk. Please encourage him to talk.
And he's never stopped.
And then the next report card says he's getting better. Please encourage him to talk. The third report card says your son is disruptive.
Yeah,
he talks too much.
I'm going to write a letter to your mother today. Even might be a little hard for her to read it because
it's not in Braille.
Yeah.
See, I learned to talk really young, but I never got out of the stroller. So.
Yeah, and we don't know what your mother's real name is, so I can't even write her a letter.
I thought it was Aunt Jemima.
I was talking about your mother, first of all.
Oh.
Hey, save the racism for hour 2, okay? This is the speech pathology hour. Oh my God.
That's right. My mother raised us with the premise that there are no such things as bad words, only bad intentions. And so my brother called me a motherfucker once, and my mother immediately got on his ass. I mean, I knew he was going to get in trouble. So I went and told her immediately. I said, Mom, Ralph called me a motherfucker. And she goes, what did he say? I said, he called me a motherfucker. And she goes up and she goes, what did you call your brother? You know how children get when their parents ask them a question, they go like, so that's what my brother did. My brother goes, oh, my mother says, what? No. What did you say? And he goes, oh. And my mother says, lift your head and look at me and talk to me. What did you call your brother? And he says, I called him a motherfucker. And my mother goes, what is wrong with you? First of all, she said, I did not raise you like animals. Then she says, it's motherfucker. There's a TH in the middle of that, and it's ER. It's motherfucker.
So your mother was an amateur speech pathologist in a way.
My mother said, if you're going to say it right. And I called a kid a queer once, and my mother says, why'd you call him a queer? And I told him, she goes, that does not make a kid a queer. This is what makes a kid a queer. She just like laid it down. I was like, okay, I got it. Yeah, my mother was very, very adamant about how we used our words.
Maybe we could get your mom on in hour 2. How about that?
Would she explain what gay was? Did she get your dad's porno mags out?
No, my father didn't have a porn collection. He just had men he slept with.
Oh, fair.
I really need to get to the first guest, and you guys are just being like. Anyway, I just want to say, no, we didn't. When we didn't do that when the parents asked us the questions, we did this. So it's an Italian thing, I think.
Oh, because you're ready to be hit. See, my mother didn't. My mother hit us off when we were unaware.
All right.
Yeah,
Time to meet the first guest here. Let me change the. Well, I'll change the layout after I click the button here. Janine Tang is a speech language pathologist and mother of a special needs child, along with her over 20 years of experience with working with children and adults with neurodiversity. She has an 11-year-old son who is neurodivergent. He suffered a traumatic brain injury and a stroke at 13 months, and her personal and professional relationship with this amazing population has forever changed her. She hopes to change the world too. Changing the world is not just a small goal there. But good morning, Janine. Thank you for being here. I'm just trying to deal with arrangement, but thank you for being here.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's been I was listening to your conversations and it was very comical and it woke me up, definitely.
All right. Well, that's what we hope to do, or not put people to sleep, but sometimes it works the other way around.
the coffee is actually rhetorical. It's actually not the coffee that wakes people up. It's us.
That's right. Hopefully.
We are the caffeine.
We're just moving around up there and being very distractive. Anyway, let's talk about speech pathology, because I come from, well, I have many careers, but pathology was part of my background, medical pathology, and pathology is really like a detective. You're looking to tell a story of how a condition came to be. And I'm just wondering how much, because in my mind, I'm thinking almost all speech problems come back to one single cause and effect. Am I wrong about that?
Not one single cause and effect, and everybody is different, right? So some kids have articulation difficulties, some kids have language difficulties, understanding and expression. Some kids, it stems from something that they're born with. Do they have Down syndrome? Do they have other things going on? Do they have autism? So my book focuses not so much on children specifically with those particular disabilities, but for a wide range of children. And it really helps to target children who are normal developing in every other way, but are delayed in their speech. And it's called play dumb and sabotage because it's this term I used for many, many years. It's like we over anticipate whatever the child needs, right? We're parents and caregivers, teachers, and we over anticipate what a child might need in that moment. So the parent might get every toy ready, every snack ready, all their clothes ready, everything that the child might possibly need. And the child doesn't ever have to ask for anything. So in a sense, they learn to become taken care of and being tended to, and they don't ever have to really communicate. And so a lot of these parents are, having 2-year-olds, 2.5-year-olds that aren't talking, and they don't know why. It's because the parents are over anticipating. And what the parents need to know is that you need to anticipate what the child needs, but also mindfully reel that back in order for there to be an opportunity to communicate and for them to learn language.
Wow. So the sabotage part, almost, if I were a parent and this was the condition of reading that, it would be a guilt trip for me. Like it's all my fault. I've sabotaged my kid's development.
Well, the sabotage part of it isn't so much that you've sabotaged them, but it's part of the speech language strategy of, I know what the child wants. So like, say for snack time, that's super simple to think about. So for snack time, some parents give like a whole bowl of goldfish or whatever the child needs. That's their snack. I know what you like. Here it is, and have at it,
Right.
But the way to sabotage that is to give the child a bowl or a napkin or something and just put a couple pieces on there, and then have the rest of the bowl or whatever in sight but out of reach. So the child needs to ask for, the sign for more, or use the words for more please, crackers please, indicate and communicate, because it is a conversation. From birth, the child is conversating with the parent, whether it be through just eye gaze, babbling, vocalizations, and things like that. And as the child becomes, 6 months, 9 months, they want them to babble with intonation similar to adult speech. And by 1 year, you want them to say their first word, start building up a lot of single words. And by age 2, be combining those 2 words together in a number of different ways. By age 3, having 3 or more words together. So they're actually communicating on their own and becoming independent and confident speakers. So by sabotaging, you're just like repetition, right? So with anything like sports or anything, the more you do something, the better you're going to get at it.
Right. A lot of, at least in my experience, a lot of parents have difficulty in understanding that their child has a speech impediment or challenges with speech for a long time, or kind of don't really pay attention to. Is there a specific, because you just mentioned a year and you want them to say the first word, is there a specific timeline for everybody, or it's, I would think, depending on conditions they were born with, especially like people with severe autism or Down syndrome or something like that, it would take longer, and we shouldn't expect it in the first year. Is that true?
Exactly. So if you have a normal developing child, the timeline would be kind of what I described, right? But if you have a child, say there's autism spectrum disorder, right? There's children who are verbal that have autism. And there's also on the other side, there's children who are completely nonverbal and who may never speak. So there's this, this, you have to take every child as a different person, every individual experience, and every individual child. You see how they are progressing, how they learn best, and then a kind of attack their abilities and challenge them where they are, and hopefully be able to develop some kind of communication down the line.
Right. So what specifically, and I know we don't have time for you to really get into fine detail about this, but what specifically can you do? Do you work with a child one-on-one? What specifically, or just advise parents? What exactly is your role in helping to deal with speech challenges?
So in early intervention, which is at 0 to 3 years, right? That's when they're learning how to communicate and understand. It's really important for the parents to present vocabulary and introduce the child to different things in order for the child to understand those vocabulary terms and learn to express it. So I provide strategies that they can use in the home. So when I say, hey, let's get dressed, do you want to wear the green shirt or the blue shirt? Show the child what those two things are, and that they're different things. And even if the child's not able to say green shirt, blue shirt, they're able to look at one item or the other, and you provide that word like, oh, you want the green shirt. Oh, you want the blue shirt. Let's put that on. And one of the things I help parents do is also kind of change their behavior and be able to do things like, if you're going to ask a yes, no question, don't ask it unless you're ready to honor that no. So if you say, are you ready to brush your teeth? And they say no, then you got to honor that. Or are you ready to clean up your toys? And they say no, you got to honor that. But if you say, hey, it's time to go to bed. Do you want to brush your teeth first or put on pajamas? Or we got to do two things. Do you want to, do you want to play first, or do you want to eat first? Whatever it is. Or what do you want to have for snack? Do you want an apple or an orange? And showing those two things. So not so much, oh, do you want an apple? And the child says no. Do you want an orange? Do you want to say no? So it's taking away that obstacle of the child saying no or not making a decision by offering choices.
No, so is there a difference between, is there a cognitive development difference between giving your child like options and talking to them like that versus just talking to them regularly, just like a normal person? I know that sounds weird, but like, for example, all three of my kids, right? I never baby talked with them. I also didn't do the do you want A or B thing, you know, but it was more of like talking to them like people, not like babies, you know what I'm saying? And all three of my kids started talking in full sentences at 2.
Yeah.
And then like myself, I started speaking in full sentences just after a year old. I also lived in the hospital, but I was also, again, just talking to people, not having baby talk. So is there a difference between those, or is there like a difference in the speed they develop?
Well, in all fairness, Stephen's children's full sentences were saying, "Daddy, please stop it. You're embarrassing us." Those were the full sentences.
That's not completely wrong.
I'm dealing with. I'm sorry, I'm kind of distracted right now. Dealing with issues with StreamYard. Some of us are disappearing and stuff. And if I change the layout, you guys up on top don't touch anything because I just changed the layout. It was fine. No, somebody just moved you guys around. It was fine, and then somebody touched something, and now it's wrong again. So let me see.
GD did it.
Yeah, guilty. Blame the black guy.
Don't touch. All right, we can move forward. Where were we? I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to address what Stephen was saying. So there's so some kids are just like with anything. There's going to be the low average, whatever it is, to the high average, right? So your kids obviously picked up language really easily and started talking in full sentences. There are those kids. So when I describe a child saying one word at 1 year and 2 words at 2 years, 3 years, that's an average, right? So you have those kids on the low average to way below average who need these strategies in order to speak. And parenting skills have changed quite a bit, right? When I was growing up, I'm 48 now, and growing up, I didn't have any speech problems, right? My mom just talked to me like a regular person, whatever it is. And I think as the newer parents, especially during the COVID times, parents are, they have like this parent guilt. They don't want their child to cry. They don't want their child to want for anything or need for anything. And their idea of being a great parent is over anticipating what the child needs. And in some ways, they almost forget, some of these parents forget to interact with their child as a normal person, right? Like, oh, this is a child, this is a person, rather than like, hey, let's talk to the child. They are doing things for the child. You know what I'm saying? And so the conversation, that interaction is lacking, and their parenting style just kind of needs to be shifted in order for them to be able to nurture that language more in a natural way rather than a one-sided thing, right? So their interaction is more one-sided because they want to be good parents. And I don't want to take away from their ability to be great parents, because you do need to know what your child needs to have, whether it's food or clothes or toys or whatever. You need to understand what your child needs because you don't want to be neglectful. But there's a point where you are doing it too much and not letting the child grow.
Right. Well,
that, Mom? I'm doing it right, Mom. See? Sorry, go on. Back to you, Matt.
If a child is being raised in a bilingual home, is it better for that child to be subjected to both languages at from birth like that, or should they like focus on one language at least until the child gets a grasp? Oh, stop! You were not going to ask that.
I live in a bilingual household. I live in a bilingual household. Sure. I do.
Cussing is not Spanish. A language. Cussing is not.
Please pardon my children. They talk when they should listen, and they.
No problem. No problem. Yeah. I work with children, so I got it. No problem. Yeah. So with normal developing children who are learning language and understanding language, within that normal range, learning multiple languages at one time is very good. Like they are sponges until they're 5. They can learn as many languages as you can throw at them, as long as they're kind of consistent, right? So if you have mom and dad, one person speaks one language, the other person speaks the other language, the child will know which language to speak whatever to. And if there's grandparents or whatever, they know exactly, they kind of code switch between different languages, and they understand that well. So the best time to learn languages is when you are in that 0 to 5 years old, because after that,
the only part of what you said I have a problem with is you said children are sponges until 5. Children never stop being sponges. It's just that during the first 5 years, they're soaking things up, and after that, they're just wringing it out, just pouring it all over you. They drench it all, but they never stop being sponges. And then
Apparently,
they start sucking
the
it back
boat
out
flu
of you
has
again.
gone to his brain a little bit. It's not like he didn't have problems up there to begin with, but I think
I have one last question.
Okay.
One last question.
Promise.
So in the on the category of like multiple languages, so I lived in a household and was force taught 2 additional languages besides English. So that in return, we all think that it led to his speech impediment that he had, where he would elongate his words at the end, like he was trying to think of what to say next because he couldn't process it. Is that a thing? Or because he eventually outgrew it, but his sentences would end like, "How are you today?" Like that's how his sentences would end because he couldn't, because sometimes he would go from English to like Portuguese and then from Portuguese to Spanish and then back to English, just like mid sentence.
Wow.
And this was your sibling?
My cousin.
Your cousin. Okay.
Yeah.
And whoever was teaching him these extra languages, were they fluent in that language?
His dad, yeah. His dad's Brazilian, so he was fluent in Spanish and Portuguese both. And then his mom is obviously she's a redneck, so she's just fluent in broken English.
And southern,
yeah. No, honestly, she's a gastroenterologist. She's not dumb by any means. She's not a redneck, but she is from Georgia.
Dumb.
So
you can have a terrible southern accent and not be dumb.
Yeah.
She doesn't sound like that though. I promise you, she doesn't sound like that.
Pass me the scalpel, please.
Sorry, was your cousin? Was he exposed to these languages since birth, or were they
right out the chute, just like
really? Okay.
Portuguese, Spanish, English, go?
I mean, there's a whole range, right? So a child might learn everything perfectly, and then some kids might. It depends on how often they're exposed to that language and how often they're able to practice with certain people. The people can get confused, right? There's also, I live in Los Angeles, and when I was doing speech therapy in the schools here, a lot of the kids are, ESL kids where they're English as a second language, right? They come in and there's this period of, they don't come in at birth, right? They come in with their early education and they have this, what they call a silent period. So they know Spanish really well and they come into a school that's teaching English. They may not appear to be talking at all for like a couple months because they're kind of trying to absorb English and Spanish at the same time. But that's something that's more normal. So if you have one language really solid and you come into another environment where it's something completely different, there's this what they call a silent period, and they're kind of not so much have a speech disorder, but it's just a natural kind of like meshing of the 2 languages in their mind, and then give them some time for them to work that out.
My theory is that each language has its own rhythm, and if the child had the rhythm of the Portuguese language or the Spanish language is much more melodic than the English language. And when he went to use English, he was stuck in the southern beat, that southern beat, and that's why he had trouble with it. I'm telling you, it was the rhythm. It wasn't the words, it was the rhythm.
What happened to
where I come from, you all ain't allowed to talk that much, Sorry, this ain't hour 2. Sorry. Go on.
That is for hour 2, please. Oh my God. I've lost control of this program, ladies and gentlemen. Do you work with children who are not neurodivergent?
Yes. So I work with early interventions. So I work with both, all different populations, right? But a good chunk of the early intervention kids, and this is a lot of what my book is for, is like that chunk of early intervention children who are normal developing and have, cognitively they're fine. They just need to be introduced to how to understand and express language. They have no neurodiversity going on. They just are delayed speakers, mainly because they were over tended to a lot of times. Absolutely.
Yeah. So in the beginning, when I said it all comes back to one cause, and you corrected me on that, basically, my thought on it is that, like many people who learn to play a musical instrument but don't learn the actual proper technique and just jump into it and become self-taught and have really sloppy technique, I think most speech problems come back to that, never really learning to speak correctly, or and understand the mechanism of speech, and start from good technique. All right.
You mean like being born in Brooklyn?
Yeah, kind of like exactly like that. Is there any truth in that idea?
Well, there are, especially with lisps. People will lisp, and it's a habitual thing, right? So if that's not corrected when they are younger, it's going to be a habit that they continue to use as they are adults. And I come across a lot of adults who lisp, and I'm like, well, if you had just addressed that when you were in elementary school, that would have really, really helped. So,
well, what happened when I was young, and I remember this very clearly, is there were children who were speaking fine up until, and like it happened with me in second grade, I developed a lisp, and then I had to go for a speech therapy. But before that, I was fine. And there were several kids in the class with me that were like that too. I mean, they started out with good speech habits and could speak very clearly, and then developed one form or another of a little bit of an impediment there. Is that common, or was that just a
well, I would say that's
thing of the time?
I would say developing a speech, like articulation difficulty at 7, would not be typical. What typically happens is that you probably already had that lisp, and the letter S and Z and other sounds are kind of later developing, that we don't expect you to master it until age 6 or 7. So you might have had that lisp when you were little, but it wasn't brought to there wasn't a huge red flag until you're like 6 or 7 and you haven't self-corrected it in a natural manner. Does that make sense?
Yeah. This is probably off the beaten path here, but music and singing, do you incorporate those ideas into therapy at all?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the language side of our brain is the left side and the music side is the right side. So when you intertwine the two of them, it helps to solidify language so much, right? So if we think about a song that we heard when we were in elementary school, we know all the lyrics and all the words that go to that melody and everything, right? We can think about very nostalgically something that we know solid in our mind. But if we think about, a speech we wrote in college or high school or whatever it is, can we remember those words? Probably not.
Right.
But we can, so a lot of things also for nursery rhymes, you can replace almost any nursery rhyme with your own sentence, and that'll help the child have a melody to that, right? It's easier to sing something than it is to say something, right?
Yeah.
Like the periodic table in chemistry and stuff like that.
I could never periodic table.
A really good example of this is growing up at the church we used to go to. The guy who was in charge of the music and the singing for the church, when he would talk, he had a terrible stutter, absolutely horrible. Could not get through 2 words without just getting caught. But when he would sing, it was the most beautiful sound you've ever heard. Never stumbled, never got caught up, and it was amazing. And it was just crazy how singing he was perfect, but could not talk to save his life.
Yeah,
it was always incredible to watch.
Slowing down the pronunciation is definitely helpful in those cases. It helps with the lisp too. It's just slowing down.
That and knowing what you're going to say already, I think both help.
Absolutely, and also creating that rhythm and that melody to there's a rhythm to a song, and also I like to tap out and clap out syllables for kids because. I have this one little kid, he loves the Minions right now. But he's a Mia. I was like, what? The Minion. So we breaking those words up and having him elongate certain sounds that he's been muddling together. It really helps.
Yeah. Now,
That gives credence to Bo Flu's thing about rhythm that he was talking about before, which was truly troubling. I hate to make him look smart.
You don't have to make me look smart. It's natural. Don't. It's okay. It's okay.
I am one of the broken record things I repeat all the time is that there is no manual for parenting. And we talk about parenting before, but there really is no. It's the hardest job, and there's no real right or wrong way to do it, and parents jump into it. Now, you've written a book for parents to help deal with or recognize and deal with speech problems. Can they learn enough just from the book, or do they need hands-on therapy help?
Again, there's a range, right? So there's those kids who are going to learn really well by just the strategies in the book, and then there are those kids who definitely have a serious speech disorder that need more hands-on training. But this book is, meant for all parents, right? I'm giving this out to my friends who are having kids right now. I'm like, here's your baby shower gift. You're going to have a book about how to work with your child, because we're taught how to give birth, right? We go to these birthing classes and all this stuff, and when it comes to interacting with our child for language and speech, not everybody is intuitively inclined, like Stephen, to teach that language and to nurture it really well. So sometimes parents need that guideline, right? Because they're working so hard at being good parents and caregivers that they forget what other things need to happen in order to nurture their child. Like I had one parent who said, I didn't know I had to interact with my daughter so much. They thought that taking care and making sure they were fed and dry and all that stuff was enough. And that child was a late talker. So she didn't start talking until after 2, but now she's 3 and speaking in, longer sentences, pretty long sentences. She's very inquisitive, still working on some articulation things, but coming from almost no words at all, at age 2 to now, it's amazing.
Yeah. Now, people from all over the world can order the book, obviously, but can you work with people like in this format digitally, no matter where you are? Do they, when you're working with parents, can you do it in this format?
Absolutely. When we were doing, during COVID, we had to do all of our therapy remotely. And for a while, and doing therapy with 2-year-olds remotely was challenging, but we were able to do it with a lot more parent interaction and involvement.
Yeah. So can you slap the child that way, or do you say to the parent, will you please slap your child for me?
Well, I cannot condone slapping.
No, please.
I didn't ask you to condone it. I just asked you to perform it. There's a difference. Totally, you can do things that you don't condone.
The D stands for inappropriate. The D in it.
D stands for dumbass. Jeez. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. You threw me off there. Because my experience with because I've had children, believe it or not, on this program, interviewing child authors and stuff. Parents very rarely can control them in front of a webcam and really get them to concentrate and focus. So I would think it would be really a difficult thing. But maybe I'm wrong. You've had more experience with it than I would. But I've never had a child who responded well to this kind of format and having a conversation in it. So.
Well, I think also over time you build rapport, right? So I'm not going to see a child just one time. Usually I see them multiple times a week for several weeks to a year or so. So there is that rapport. And sometimes, that's what you need. Seeing somebody for the first time, if that child has autism, you're a stranger to them.
Yeah, right.
You're not going to be engaging like somebody they see in person.
Got it.
So you work with rapport. Do you work with rich children as well?
I work with all children. I do therapy in the home. I do therapy in schools. I do private therapy. I've been in every kind of home that you can think of, from clean to very dirty.
So you've been to like spotless homes, so like where Ron lives, that entire range of homes? No,
huge, yes, complete range. Very, very clean to very, very dirty.
Yeah. Now, can you figure out what's wrong with Ron? Because we have the idea that he's completely mute.
Well, I mean,
It's
you
the
do have your
algorithm.
names on there, so I do know which one Ron is. He's the one that has not spoken at all.
He's the Helen Keller-like one.
Yeah,
it's the algorithm. We're using the wrong algorithm for Ron to interact.
He doesn't even smile when you're making fun of him, which is really intimidating.
He is the ultimate sponge right now.
Yeah. So now, when people want to get involved and work with you, how does it start? Do you do a consultation? I mean, what's the process of getting started, other than buying the book?
Absolutely, they can go to my website. It's playdumandsabotage.com.
Links in the description.
Connect to me. Yeah, it's on the screen there. They can connect with me on there, and email me, and we can do a consultation. I also do like trainings with parents. I'm going to also do training with, preschool staff and other people that work with children. So open to doing all of those things.
Very good. We hope people will take advantage of that. The links are in the description. There's tons of links to your website, to the Amazon page, to the audiobook, all those kind of things. We hope people will, if they have challenges or frustrations specifically with their child's development speech-wise, to get in touch with you. And certainly buy the book. Now, just one final question on challenges you deal with. Is the fact that people are waiting longer, and we have a lot of old people my age with small children. Is that beneficial, or do they have more patience or more understanding because they're older, or is that a frustration and a bigger challenge with people who are older? Because I think, whether nature intended people to have children young, and I think we've totally turned the paradigm upside down where people grandparents have small children now. Is that harder for you?
I think the older somebody is, typically, right, you would see more like they're set in their behaviors, right? So it's about being introduced a change in behavior, whether it's a simple thing like playing dumb and sabotage strategies or whatever. Are they overtending to the child? So it's there is a range. So some even older parents are super flexible in their thinking, and they are like, okay, I will accept what you're saying and I will implement that. There's younger parents who are very like, nothing's wrong with my child, and they're very much in denial, and they are very stuck in the way they're thinking. So I don't think that all older parents are difficult to work with. I think there are difficult parents in every age range. We're not attacking their ego, right? And it feels like an ego attack when you're the parent and someone's saying your child, there's something wrong with your child because they're not speaking right now. And so I've had a lot of parents who I've had to convince them, in a sense, that your child would be able to communicate better if you allow us to work with them.
On behalf of all the boomers, I thank you for letting us off the hook with that answer. Boomer parents of small children. Thank you for getting up and being part of this. And I appreciate all the work you're doing, and good luck with it. And if there's anything we can do to help support you, just drop me a line and let me know. Thank you for being here. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Take care.
No, you're welcome to listen to the show and then send us notes as to what's wrong with some of these other guys. Not me, but maybe you can help them.
Well, it's going to take me a while for Ron. I mean,
he just read the first two words of the title, "Play Dumb," and he's living by that. Thank you for being here. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you. You too.
I cut her off. That's what you shouldn't do with somebody who has a speech challenge, is don't cut them off. I know that thing. Yeah. Like, you try to say something. You're not going to do it. All right. We want to get to gamer news while we have a few minutes here before the actual news. Oh, he just left.
Could y'all, women? I've been gone for 2 weeks. Can you guys catch me up on what happened in 2 weeks?
That's it.
Oh,
Ron has been busy shopping for cowboy hats and lingerie, and finding matching hats and lingerie.
Well, I know it's hard to find G-strings with spurs, but if anybody can do it, Ron can.
Yeah, and I saw a guy in a wheelchair yesterday, and I did the right thing, and I pushed him over, and I just walked.
Good job, thank you. Thank you. On behalf of the Mike Chavolas everywhere, thank you.
Oh, we haven't heard from Mike. He's probably working on his speech impediment. I guess. See, I feel like guilty for making fun of people who talk like that with extra sibilance. Maybe I should put myself in the corner.
And now, with the latest in video game news that is sure to make your joystick tremble with excitement, it's our chief game correspondent, Stephen the Sitcom Ortiz.
I think shitcom.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's game time. Game time. Game time.
And now, your favorite libertarian anarchist gamer boy, Stephen the Shitcom Ortiz.
Wow, the shitcom. Okay, I see how it is.
Yeah,
Happy Thursday, everybody. It's time for gamer news. And there's not a lot this week. But the three big ones that I got, the first here is Warner Brothers Games. They are looking to sell off part of their company. And this comes just after they've acquired the Multiverses developer First Games. The reason behind this,
the Warners or the Bros?
Probably the Bros would be my guess. Disney likes to turn all their characters black. Warner Brothers likes to turn them all white. So, anyways, but they are selling off part of their gaming sector due to potential lawsuits in the future due to some of the rights of characters they own in the video game side, but not the movie side. So that's a developing story. We don't know how that's going to affect some of their newer games that just came out, but we'll see, because this newest game, Multiverses, is a game that features IPs from 20, 30 different properties. So yeah, so that's the thing that's happening, which is great.
That's exciting.
I just had a question, Stephen. Now, Warner Brothers, do they own DC's characters?
They do. Yes.
What about the characters from the Watchmen series?
They own the rights to the Watchmen series, all the DC characters, like Scooby-Doo, all the Cartoon Network characters.
Scooby-Doo.
Yep, all of them. So
are now, do the Watchmen, like Dr. Manhattan, do they appear in any of the games? I don't know anything about these games. I haven't played I play Solitaire. That's the game I play.
You want to play Space Invaders with me later, or maybe Miss Pac-Man?
You have it in color or black and white? Because
is it weird? Did Matt sound particularly old when he said that? I don't know why. I don't know why. Yeah. You want to play Space Invaders later?
We can do Minesweeper.
Oh, I don't want to get in your van and play Space Invaders.
I traded the van. I have a Mazda Tribute now.
Oh, very cool. So last week we talked about Xbox's hardware sales declining. It looks like PlayStation has suffered the same, a similar feat this quarter. But this isn't abnormal, as due to the summertime, people are outside. They're not inside playing video games as much. So in return, the hardware sales drop. They're down 27% compared to the 3.3 million consoles sold this time last year. But they're still beating Xbox almost 5-1. So they're still not doing too.
I was beating my Xbox yesterday, and my wife walked in.
I was going to tell your wife. I'm going to tell your wife that you're beating your ex's box, man. That's disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Now, I'm looking at these two versions here. One's that would take CDs and DVDs, and the other one does not.
Correct. Yeah. The one on the right's all digital, and the one on the left has the optional disc drive.
Now, my question is, because it looks like vinyl is making a comeback. So is the PlayStation going to come with a vinyl edition as well, so that people can play albums?
No, probably not. But you can log into Apple Music and get all your music that way.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the same. It doesn't
Clearly,
have the same.
He has a speech challenge. He just keeps asking dumb questions.
We need to bring our last guest back, I think.
Right. And
then the last piece of gamer news I have is, although Xbox is having trouble with hardware sales, Xbox may be pivoting to more of a console and portable.
Pivoting. All right.
Pivot.
All right.
And they are So there's been rumors of a handheld Xbox system for the last 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, realistically, ever since the Switch came out, but in particular, the last few years. And these rumblings are getting louder. And a lot of the people in the gamer world are saying that this is just due to them trying to get their foot in the door on another piece of the market, since their home consoles aren't doing great. And this makes sense because the big thing that they're touting right now is cloud gaming, where you don't have to buy the games or even download them. You can play them in the same way you would watch a Netflix movie.
So on a subscription basis. Everything is getting, recurring.
Everything is subscription based. And with game consoles, it's really no different. For example, on the Xbox, while it does take discs, I pay for the monthly subscription because instead of paying $70 for a new game, I pay $17 a month, and anytime a new game comes out, I can play it for free.
I hate subscription model stuff because you forget, and then they just take money out of your account. You haven't used something for a month. It's like a gym membership that you always end up paying for forever, and you never use it, and then you just want to murder everybody, don't you?
I know the hookers in our neighborhood use a subscription package plan, and the difficulty is that sometimes, I mean, there's some people who like use the hooker once and then forget about it until their next birthday or something, but they're still paying the subscription prices.
That's the
And then there's
worst.
other people who are paying the subscription and they're just like making a killing. They're just like tapping that hooker like every other day.
Wow.
So it's I guess it depends on which package fits you better.
Well, the other thing that this is killing too is the reason GameStop is struggling so hard is this has almost eliminated the used game market because almost nobody buys game discs anymore. So in return, nobody's selling them or anything else, and so it's creating an issue. And then this is another reason why the video game industry is starting to pivot as well. Is people are saying, well, if I'm not buying a physical game with a physical case and all of that, why am I paying $70 for this game still?
So my floppy disk with Space Invaders is worth more or less?
It's probably a collector's item, would be my guess.
All right.
Probably worth more than if it was playable.
All right. Now it's it's not one of those 3.5s. It's a real floppy.
Like a real floppy disk.
Floppy, the 6-inch floppy, yeah.
Yeah, but people actually like physical media though too.
They do, and that's the thing. Me personally, I'm poor. I can't afford $70 for a new game, which is why I like the Game Pass option.
Wait, you're a podcast host, a co-host anyway. How could you possibly be poor?
Dude, I know. You'd figure I'd be rolling in it like Joe Rogan. The only thing I'm rolling in is my chair, so I have nothing to show for it. But
how much can you get for that chair?
Yeah.
Honestly, there's no resale value.
Actually, let's do a auction off on Steven's chair.
Okay, but before we do that, I should tell you this share costs $30,000. Okay.
All right.
But I will tell you that scrap yards won't take it, pawn shops won't take it. You can only donate them. So good luck.
Wow, pawn shop would be interesting. You roll in there, and then you got to roll out, literally.
Well, apparently they used to take them, and the last time I was in a pawn shop, I think I was going to buy some video games because I personally like physical media. I like to collect them and see them displayed. And I was like, just curious, how much do you guys take for wheelchairs? And they're like, oh man, like we stopped doing that 3 years ago because people were stealing wheelchairs and selling them.
That ain't why it is. Because legally they're bound to hold it for like 90 days before they can sell it. And then the people came back to buy their own chair back. That's why it was. That's what it was. I just needed the money for crack that night.
Now,
Probably,
does your chair have like GPS and some kind of like computer disc thing, or no?
I have an air tag on it for tracking it because when I flew, for example, they lost my wheelchair, so I had to get on my phone and be like, nope, it's at the other end of the airport. Go get it, please. So
it was it was not really a wheelchair. It was a big wheel, but same thing.
Yeah, basically.
3 years old. What is a wheelchair for a 3-year-old? Like a tiny little one, or I don't know.
Yeah, dude, I don't know how they lost my chair, but it was gone. It was in a different plane. At the other
when I was free, they lost me, so you don't feel bad.
It's easy to lose a kid. You could just wander off. Wheelchairs don't just wander off.
And plus, all you need is a wagon too.
Yeah.
They probably used it to haul somebody else and didn't realize it, and then left it there.
And then I
with me
kind of following in Daddy Ron's footsteps. I found a weird pic, and this is Christmas coming soon.
See, Ron, you've been a bad influence on Steven. That's all I can say.
Is this guy's name Chris Mass or Mass is what
his name is Christopher Mass, and he is coming soon.
This, you know what? Alan Edwards deserves this. Now.
The Treasury and State Department announced sanctions on the Paraguayan tobacco company Tabacalera del Este S.A. for providing financial support to former Paraguayan President Horacio Manuel Cartes Jara, who had been previously blacklisted by the United States.
Cartes previously owned, directly or indirectly, a 50% interest in the tobacco company known as Tabisa. U.S. officials reported that the company has made payments and plans to continue paying him millions of dollars, despite sanctions against him. Paul Gomez reported.
Renewed concerns about the U.S. economy could significantly impact Americans beyond this week's stock market free fall.
Experts state that the recent decline in financial markets, driven by growing evidence of economic slowdown, increases the likelihood that the Federal Reserve will aggressively ease monetary policy starting next month to prevent a severe downturn. Wall Street analysts now predict a series of interest rate cuts beginning in September and continuing into 2025. Jim Kender reported.
A Pakistani national with alleged ties to Iran has been arrested and charged with plotting a murder-for-hire scheme targeting U.S. government officials and politicians, according to charging documents unsealed Tuesday.
The individual, 46-year-old Asif Merchant, is accused of planning to assassinate current and former government officials across the political spectrum, including former president and GOP presidential nominee Donald Trump. According to multiple sources familiar with the investigation, Joseph Eckerson reporting.
Hamas, the Palestinian militant group, announced Tuesday that Yahya Sinwar, its top official in Gaza and mastermind of the October 7th attacks in Israel, has been selected as its new leader.
Sinwar's selection, a secretive figure who leads Hamas's hardliners and maintains close ties to Iran, marks a defiant move. Sinwar tops Israel's kill list as it aims to dismantle Hamas and its leadership, following the October attack, in which militants killed 1,200 people in southern Israel and captured about 250 hostages. Benjamin Wright reporting.
This is the latest news headlines.
What'd you say?
I think.
Elon Musk's social media platform X has sued a group of advertisers, claiming that a massive advertiser boycott deprived the company of billions of dollars in revenue and violated antitrust laws.
The company, formerly known as Twitter, filed the lawsuit Tuesday in a federal court in Texas against the World Federation of Advertisers and member companies Unilever, Mars, CVS Health, and Orsted. It accused the advertising group's brand safety initiative of helping to coordinate a pause in advertising after Musk acquired Twitter.
That's stupid. Musk is an idiot. I'm sorry. He claims that he wants to claim that he can do whatever he wants with his company, but they can't advertise the way they want with their companies. That's an idiot. He's an idiot.
There's a clip that will get this thrown out of court immediately, where he says, "Fuck advertisers. I don't need them. Go fuck yourselves." Is that clear? I don't need your fucking advertising. Go fuck yourselves. Clear enough? I hope that's clear. Just play that.
Alan didn't mention the terrorist attack, the thwarted terrorist attack on Taylor Swift's concert.
No, he probably would. That's probably in the news Monday. He'll probably get to it Monday.
What about the 7.2 earthquake in Japan?
Probably get that at Tuesday. And there was a 5.3 in California, right?
5.3. I think they named that earthquake because once, I think, just like fires, we're naming fires, we're naming hurricanes, and I think they name earthquakes as well if they kill people. If they kill people, they give them 3 names, just like, Lee Harvey Oswald, John Wilkes Booth, like that.
I'm going to start naming my bowel movements.
But yeah, you can name it like give it 3 names, like what you had for lunch, Your pet's first name and then what street you were raised on. Like the porn thing.
Louis. No, like guys from the neighborhood. I'll name them after guys from the neighborhood. Hey, that's Frankie.
That's Frankie the arm. That's Frankie the arm cornroll.
Right.
All right.
So this is the Fun with Racism hour, and I'm reluctant to give it up actually because it's working out okay for me.
To turn black, and now she wants to be known as Black.
I would like to be known as what do I want to be known as? Like, I don't know.
Puce. Puce is a good color.
Oh, like I'm thinking of like a Crayola box where they have all these weird names for the crayons. Because I am not white, I'm not black, I'm not brown, I'm not even olive. I don't know. I got to look up the crayon that I am. I don't know. Any suggestions on what I really am?
I think they would call you diaper rash. Caucasian diaper rash.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Hey, I do have a story to tell, and I even have pictures.
Oh shit!
Well,
I may have come back too soon.
He talked. Did you see the lips were more and sound?
He had to learn our dialogue, our dialect.
Take it away. Take it away.
All right, so let me.
He was ready, and now he's not ready.
No! Look at this.
You did to him. Why does Texas hate America? Well, that's a good point. They do. They want us to secede all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you're not. I'm gonna put on some music. I think for this, if I can find.
We got to bring the volume down a little bit, though. If you're gonna.
Yeah.
Play.
Let me.
Yeah, I got it.
Right.
Want? How about this?
Now, how about we do the cinematic acoustic?
Oh, cinematic acoustic. Where is that? I don't. Oh, here it is. Acoustic cinematic.
There we go. That's better. Because this is more of a gentle story, not too long. But so I traveled to Dallas, Texas, yesterday on Spirit Airlines, and I must say, it was not a bad flight. It was cheap. I was able to travel down there for $200 round trip, so I'll take it. And the seat wasn't that bad as last time, so Spirit's okay to fly on as long as you're not bringing any bags or anything like that. And you just
does Spirit have a first class or business class, or is everything just where your ass fits?
They say they do, but I guess.
I would like to amend that statement that Ron just made. It's okay if you're not bringing any bags on or any stuff like that, and also are prepared to die.
Yes, for sure. But anywho, so I went to Texas. I'm in Texas, and I was feeling a bit frisky last night. So I went and grabbed some, because you can't get weed down here. You got to go with THCA, which is just a little bit of THC, and got some beer. It's like, you know what? I'm just gonna chill out and have a good time. But then after I was sitting around here a while and smoking that J, I started going a little crazy. And so in my head, I was like, what am I going to do? Then, as you can see, I noticed there was some lotion in my room. I was like, I must do something. But what could I do with lotion and by myself? So anyway, I decided to get things going. And as I got things going, things were going.
Wait a minute, whoa. You said you're in the room by yourself, but there's 3 hands?
Yeah.
Don't ask questions. Just let him go. Let him cook.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ron.
So, I was feeling good and things were going good. Then as things were getting better, there was some frustration that started to set in because I had my phone in my hand. I was like,
Josh looks a little different than he used to.
So everyone was a little frustrated. And so as I looked for something to watch, this is what I ran into. And that might be tough to see, but what it says is like, you must be 18 plus to access X Hamster. And this is the bullshit of it. In order to comply with Texas law, we have implemented a procedure to verify the age of users accessing our website from Texas. And if you click this box here, it says, I consent to the collection and processing of my biometric data, photo, and ID, if applicable, for the sole purpose of confirming my legal age.
Wow.
So Texas, go fuck yourself.
So wait a minute. Now, all you do is click that box and that's it, and then they've verified your age because you can click the button.
Well, once you do that, it says then they can, I guess, go into your search history, and then they can find out how old you really are because they
I didn't click on it because I'm not giving them my fucking biometric data and everything else for them to store.
Well, you could just give them GD's name and his stuff. No.
Yeah, but I didn't click on the box, so
no, it's just
clicking on the box.
So you see this when you pull up other sites and shit like that. It's really it's bullshit. I know you have that in Indiana, don't you, Steve?
But would you rather having a 9-year-old? Like, this is Brendan Walsh's line, not mine. But would you rather have a 9-year-old acting anal bukkake or anal gangbang bukkake? Would you rather have your 9-year-old or have a button like that stopped your 9-year-old from being able to? I guess if your 9-year-old got into your laptop, they could do it anyway, right?
Yeah. There's ways around it, but the frustration of well, I'm in Texas, I can't watch this,
right?
Like, really, yeah. and to give them all the rights to your fucking data like that, and just
and Texas touts being the freedom capital of the U.S.
Yeah,
can't even jerk off.
Solution. I'm not sure THCA had anything to do with this, but maybe lay off the weed and the beer so that you don't get inclined to do really ugly.
He's a guy in a hotel room. Why wouldn't he do it? I mean,
listen, just be like J.D. Vance and just go fuck your couch.
Now, just for the record, Ian, he's in Texas. I don't think there are enough progressive lawmakers in Texas to pass a gallstone, let alone a law.
That's a good one. Are you all blind to pass a gallstone?
Oh, yeah. Look, those curtains are primed to jerk off on.
I could fuck this couch right here.
Next.
And then you could wipe off with the curtains next to it.
Right.
Oh, look. Cock got your tongue, Matt?
If you're going to do it, they have to call it a love seat.
Are we trying? We're trying to scare this guest away, and he's not buying it. He's saying, "No, what? I can deal with this insanity and stupidity." So, are you ready to have some fun with racism?
Oh yeah. I was.
All right, boy, go pick me some.
I don't know. Let's ask the colored fella.
Yeah, I am colored fella.
Have been the
best we're all
for the black population.
God dies. We're all colored in God dies.
Yeah, that's true. Yesterday, GD, you talk about what you missed. Yesterday, we had a guy who was raised in Africa, an Indian guy, Indian heritage.
Wait a minute, which kind of Indian? Woo, 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 or what the?
No, he was 7'11", not 9'11".
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think there's any recovering from that. I'm gonna stun gun myself now. I think he was a little both.
Did a cow shit in here?
Yeah. I think he was a little both. I don't know. I think he was East Indian. Yeah, he was East Indian and Tanzanian. Wow. I kept calling him Tasmanian, which is totally a whole other continent.
That's a whole other cartoon. Yeah,
it's a whole other continent. But he kept referring to himself as a person of color or colored. And I was darker than him. I was like at least 3 shades darker than him. But the word colored just reminded me of that. He was contacting Steven to ask him for a link 3 hours after he was on the show. I'm waiting here for the link. I want to join the show. It's like, you were on the show 3 hours ago.
That's why I asked for the calendar. I was like, wait a second, what is happening? I'm so confused by this response.
Yeah. And his publicist contacted me. Would you please send him a link? He was on the show 3 hours ago.
That was probably the African on the show. You didn't do the Indian.
Yeah,
that was the CPT he was running on. He was.
We have them all along.
They wanted their own show.
Do you want to have fun with racism or not?
I do.
Let's have fun with racism.
All right. Growing up within a black community, kind of like GD did, witnessing racism firsthand, kind of like GD did. Activist J.D. Moss, with some letters there, PSY with a capital D, which I don't know what that is. I've never seen that before. Tells of his successes and missteps in building powerful alliances with melanated people.
People who eat like cantaloupe,
marinated.
I've never heard that expression before. Excuse me. We just call them black folks around here, or
people who like
brown
cantaloupe, honeydew.
Yeah, JD's parents chose to raise him in a diverse community in St. Louis, where he was able to witness and experience racism and cultural differences. He's got a book now out. Now we'll bring out the book, Race for What? He's here now. Let's welcome in JD Moss. JD, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, I'm glad you weren't scared away by that nonsense you were listening to in the meantime. But I'm going to bring up I'm going to bring up your book. Hold on one second. Here it is. That's the book right there. Now, it looks like you were in a band. It looks like you were in a in a Motown band or something. That's you in the middle on the bottom.
That was actually my prom picture with my best friends and I, though. But one of them did become a famous artist, though.
You mean like Picasso?
Nelly.
Oh, shit.
Nelly can paint?
Wow.
Nelly's kneeling next to me in the picture.
But he can paint?
Wow.
He's an artist?
Well, musical artist.
Is he still, are you still friends with him?
We're friendly. A lot of other friends in the picture I'm closer to still.
Wow.
Is it because he's black? I'm just,
They're all black.
Happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
Yeah, I would say they're all melanated.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Nelly, I think we're still waiting to see how Nelly turns out to whether or not we accept him in the black club. At least he wasn't at the meetings. He's not been at the meetings.
He's not been at the meetings. I'm not responsible for that.
Actually, I really don't know who Nelly is. So,
oh my! How do you not? What is wrong?
I know the name. I know the name. I know there's a person named Nelly. I don't know anything about his music.
Excuse me.
All right, enough with the sound effects there. It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes.
That's Nelly.
Getting so hot.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take
I
my
actually thought that was like the
clothes
Black Eyed
off.
Peas, right? That's not the Black Eyed Peas.
No, that was Nelly.
Oh, I've actually
See how
used that
racist
line.
GD is? See how racist he is? He thinks all black people look the same. It's terrible.
No, it just sound the same.
Sound the same.
I think they all sound the same. I know they
It's
look
even
different.
worse.
I can tell the difference between Whoopi and Idris Elba.
Now, Nelly was one of the Band-Aid on his. Yeah, he did have a Band-Aid on his cheek a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, JD, now the book. Why now? Do you feel like there's not enough talk about racism? Is that what the book is about? Because I feel like we're talking about. Maybe it's just because I have GD on here and he can't hear the word black without making it about people or making every conversation about racism. Do you feel like we're not talking about racism enough?
I don't think it's that we're not talking about it enough. I don't think that we're talking about it the right way, and we're not pushing past and healing the harms of the past to get
say what?
Place.
He's going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem. I'll just tell you right now. So, what is the right way to talk about it?
I think we need to. That's why I mentioned melanated versus this white black thing, right? Like we lack melanin, and I think that's a different conversation than just calling myself white and somebody else black. What does that mean? I can't be out in the sun as long without having these chemicals or something else to protect me. That's where the earth is, right? So there's a connection to the earth and certain things that have transpired from our history that led to a culture like we have today. full competition, scarcity mentality versus a sharing and caring, where we can have these jokes and it not really, go back home and it's being affected a certain way. So.
Right. The words have changed so much. And listen, we could go over the history of the words. GD is probably better at going to, or actually the Rev is really good at listing all the words. But so if we just change it to melanated instead of black, that's not really.
The Reverend would not go for that at all.
No. I could think of a word that goes, a nice nickname that goes with melanated. My brother would be better at that, though. But changing the words we've changed the words a lot over the last 200 years.
Yeah, so I'm against the way that we use language in this society, right? I mean, the word prestige, which we hold in high regard, really truthfully came from conjuring tricks and creating illusion. And so if you place that back onto prestigious universities and things of that nature that we hold prestigious, it's about trickery. And if you look at our language, spelling, we're under a spell; cursive, we're in a curse; translation, we're in a trans. There's so much language around trickery, and we just get to redefine things all the time. I don't agree with that. I'm saying using it from a basis of truth and moving and building from there. So that's all.
Well, according to your theory, then, if the words are that transitive, so to speak, then so would your truth, because if your truth would also be that.
Well, I think when you start to label your truth, my truth is only my path, but not. There is still truths that exist beyond you and I. Right? Like,
are we getting into a place where we're going to talk about alternative facts, like Kelly?
No, not necessarily alternative facts, but like I used to teach my daughter that there is three truths. I'm just saying, between two people, there's three truths. There's your version, my version, what actually happened.
Happened, for sure.
Yeah. So do you call yourself a non-melanated person? I mean, how do you, or you don't even bother to?
Yeah, less melanated. Non-melanated.
Well, I'm just. I want to ask a question. I don't know how. I don't know how to address
white it. From a cultural standpoint, I have no problem with identifying it that way.
Let's use that then. As a white guy, does this conversation get a little, I don't know, less? It's harder to accept this conversation from a white guy than from a person. I know you grew up in a black neighborhood, but you're not a black guy. I would think a black guy would have an easier time making this case that you're making.
Except if a black guy did it, nobody would listen.
Right.
I didn't hear that. I'm just saying. I thought it was like there was something in my ear. I wasn't listening.
Yeah, a black guy would have to be behind him saying, "This is what we need to do," and then the white guy said, "This is what we need to do," and everybody said, "See, this is what we need to do."
Right. But seriously, do you get kickback? Who are you to make this? We need to hear this from somebody who's actually lived on the wrong end of the stick, or or gotten the wrong end of the stick. Do you hear that as kickback?
He's getting his white.
Yeah, I mean, and that's part of the balance, right? Black folks are tired of trying to teach white folks who don't have the cultural experience, because we haven't learned about any other culture than our own, to really have an understanding of somebody else's plight, where they're coming from or whatnot. And then yet, if I walk into an all white space and start trying to tell it, I need somebody in the background, kind of like that Eddie Murphy Trading Places. I need someone going, yeah, in the back, so that at least they know what I'm representing is also coming from that same place.
He needs a melanin translator. He needs a melanated translator.
Yeah.
In black news tonight. Yeah.
For the culture.
Yeah. I don't know. So people like me, I've never considered myself white because I'm not white, but I am a Caucasian by definition, I guess, by whatever terms that people, because GD will tell you there's only race is a manufactured construct, but people who need to put a label on it, I'm a Caucasian, but I'm not white. There's a big difference between me and you, melanin wise.
I'm
right?
see-through.
And I am tired of being called extremely handsome and being judged for that. It's just annoying as hell.
Tired of something that
I
never
wouldn't know
happened.
how that feels, but
DD, I'm fairly certain that's along the lines of like, oh, bless your heart. You know, that's it. I think they're just trying to make you feel better.
Yeah.
Well, let's work.
Anyway, back to you, Matt.
No, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
And I agree with you. Like, it's a cultural thing, first and foremost, and racism is a construct, but we also have to take responsibility for the fact that that's our construct that we created, right? And it's a race to control resources, and that's where it's really most hurtful. Not the bigotry. The bigotry is part of racism or used in racism. The prejudice, the discrimination, these are all tools in racism, but racism itself is about controlling resources, and that's where the idea of healing comes from my perspective.
So it's not about keeping GD off the white women.
Try. They request it. I only do that by request. Okay.
All right. No, I agree. I guess resources would be the white women, right? But literally, I mean, I say that as a joke, but I kind of.
Actually, that wouldn't be a problem if some guys didn't get jealous and didn't mind if women had more than one guy.
Right.
Well,
so
you can have all the white ones. I don't want them anyway.
Do you see? Realistically, now, are you optimistic for a change in this? Because this is a conversation, and I know you said we're not talking about the right way, and I'm not sure that there will ever be a right way to talk about it. But we've been having this conversation since 1865.
Right, but it's getting beyond the conversation. It's the actual work beyond it. So the conversation, I agree with you to that extent. Like, done talking about it without having some significant change, and change is going to be either uncomfortable to an extent, but also if we saw the results as being something that's really beautiful or something that we can all experience, so that we can continue to have these fun conversations, but that the lifestyle that we go back to, because I think our culture hurts so many of us, right? White, black, and indifferent, but we have to deal with what that cultural practices are. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about having more conversations and learning a new word, or that doesn't change it. It's the actual change in how we share, care, and approach things versus how we try to control and manipulate things. And that's what.
Fair enough. But coming back to my question, are you seriously optimistic for it, or are you just hopeful in a kind of, hopeful but realistic kind of way that things that take forever to change, and you're probably not going to see a significant change in our lifetime? That's how I feel about it.
I'll take one from each side. I'm optimistically realistic, right? So I believe that the change is happening even just naturally. There's more and more people learning about other cultures and developing relationships cross culture, and so it's going to be harder to be racist because with all the mixed race children coming in and more of that being, now you're going to have to not like black Chinese folks or Jewish Mexican, like that part is starting to meld and change in and of itself. The internet brings forth a level of understanding and ability to see things and reach and learn about new things and even challenge the status quo. So I see the change happening. If we just let it happen versus try and guide it towards a place of healing and having a great time and sharing this planet with one another, then, I think that's not responsible on our end. And that's all I'm trying to be. I want to have fun. I think it can be enjoyable, the healing process, but I also think it needs to happen.
I think
what you're saying is enjoy the suffering is basically what you're saying.
What you're saying seems culturally possible, but I don't think that's going to do jack for systemic racism, because that's really a power. That is really a power thing, and they really like their power.
They really like their power.
I just stick it to the man by having mixed babies.
Well,
and they don't care. And they don't care. You can have as many mixed babies as you want, as long as they're poor mixed babies. If they're rich,
I've done that too.
No.
I want to push back on this idea of having a child can change it, because I know, I believe it or not, I know racists. Yeah, believe it or not. And I know racists who have had biracial children and they still maintain their racism. It hasn't changed them one bit.
My grandfather
I'm not trying
was
to change them that way.
Yeah, my grandfather was one of those who's, you guys know he was a KKK leader, and he had several black girlfriends on a regular, all the time. Always confused me in my brain. Always confused me. It's like, how can you be so hateful but still do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's so messed up.
But they were good with it, though. The women were good with it.
That's what that's why I was like, I always I half questioned his racist street cred. I was like, are you that racist though? But then he would say the things that he would say, and then you're like, oh, okay.
Thomas Jefferson was a slave owner, but had many black women.
Yeah, with Fannie Mae.
Yeah, but still, was against slavery, even though he kept slaves, which is people are complicated. But I don't.
And you'll see a ton of racists that are football fans and still want Deion Sanders to play on their team, and right. So you see it where there's pockets of ways that they go, okay, can't deny this, and I still want this for myself, or things of that nature.
There's an old college football story. I'm trying to remember the two teams. One of them I'm almost positive was Texas, and I'm thinking the other one was like Alabama. And this was back when the league were just starting to integrate, and so each team had like one black player, and they were playing each other. I think it was in Texas, and the black player from, let's say, Alabama tackled the black player from Texas, and the sideline yells, "Get your coon off of our nigger." Yeah.
Wait a minute. It's not 10:45 yet.
But I'm reporting the news.
Oh, are you just reporting the news? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that was the news back then, so it's just history now.
To the people on Gov's Network, by the way, tonight All-Star Comedy at Gov's Network. I apologize for my token black guy getting a little out of control. I'll try to keep him a little under.
Yeah, I've been gone for a while. I'm still on Alaska time. That's what happened.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because you're black?
Do you want to weigh in on this obsession with trying to deny? I'm talking about
Matt, your audio went out.
Yeah, Matt, your audio's going out. Yeah.
There, check. You hear me now? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounded like it was going through your computer mic for a second.
Well, maybe it was.
It sounded to me like you're talking at your ass, but go ahead.
StreamYard's having some issues today, definitely. Video and all that. This obsession with Harris and her race and trying to deny her half her heritage. Like, how dare she call herself black now by some people? People are getting like all bent out of shape. What's your take on that?
It's a BS distraction from whether or not politicians have a responsibility to actually communicate about what they're going to do and how this whole thing works. That's a whole distraction. I don't pay attention to that BS.
Well, yeah, all right, but for the sake of let's take the politics and the politics aspect out of it. For somebody who is biracial to have two cultural identities,
right?
Does that matter? Or I mean, because it feels just the people who will say this is using it as an advantage. You know, if it plays to this room, all of a sudden I'm Jamaican in this room, I'm Indian in that room, I'm black in this room, and just using it as a pawn. Is that first of all, do you see it that way, and is it productive or counterproductive?
I think that's how it's being defined by certain people. I think she truthfully has a connection with two different cultures, so she's able to connect in that way. I think part of our problem is we're so ignorant to other cultures because we never learn about those cultures in school, where every other culture has to learn about us. whether, it's cultures from outside of the United States to even inside the United States. Black folks know much more about white culture than white folks know about any other culture, right? Because we don't have to. We get to stay
in fairness, white cultures know how to steal other cultures better than other people. So you have to know a little bit about them to know them, so you know what part you want to steal.
Sure. The only thing we ever were creative enough to create was the patent office, correct?
I like that.
I don't know. The N-word, I think we created that, and it seems to have been
and the missionary position.
Yes.
You're welcome.
No, we like teaching or learning about other cultures, but we like to whitewash it because we like to take all those bad. We like to take all the bad parts out to make it palatable.
We don't even do that. We just turn other cultures into restaurants.
I'm going to push back here a little bit because this is what I do. I'm a pushbacker.
Go ahead.
I don't think there is such a thing as a white culture. I really don't. There are lots of different cultures within Europe and European whites, Caucasians, whatever. Italians. I grew up in a diverse enough area where one town was Italian and there was a small Irish element to it. The next town over was German. None of those cultures had a common thread through them. They were very different cultures.
That's very white of you to say, though, right?
Yeah.
Because we're our own. I'm Jewish until it's convenient, and until I need my whiteness to be white, right? We're German till we need our whiteness to be white, and everybody gets to meld in. White was created as a legal term to delineate who gets what and who can qualify for these different things. Hell, there's stories of there was supposed to be some level of reparations for $5 Indian. They called it, and you could buy a certain amount of land for that. And a bunch of white folks went and said, okay, well, I'm Indian, and they got the land. So whiteness is a culture from a standpoint of how we behave and how we approach things. And that's part of what culture is. Right. And
right. I think of culture as the traditions that your family or whatever adhere to, and my traditions were very different in an Italian neighborhood, even though I wasn't full-blooded Italian. But the traditions and the perceptions that we were all in the mafia. Now my family happened to be in the mafia, but not everybody in the neighborhood were. But it's very, the German people in the town next door in Breslau, in Lindenhurst, they weren't perceived as mobsters and they were same melanin factor is pretty much the same. So when you talk about systemic use of your Caucasian status, no doubt about that. But I don't think I don't tie that into culture. I think that into opportunism. And what works, like I said before, systemic racism has worked fine for me. I'm not.
But that's the culture. Then that's the culture.
I don't count that. No, culture is like food and language and traditions and all that kind of stuff.
Right. And when you get to,
wouldn't that be there would be de facto white cultures then? Because like you go to a German area, a German town, or to Germany, you have German food, German language, German music. You go to Ireland, you have Irish food, Irish people, Irish music, it's culture. There's white cultures. There's a difference between being like, I'm a proud Irish person or I'm a proud Irish German person versus white power. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
And that's why we call you Diablo Blanco.
All of those groups that I mentioned were treated as second-class citizens in the first, and the struggle for Black people to not be considered second-class citizens has been far longer and still continues. But when and I'm only a third generation, but for the first two generations, my people were thought of as second-class citizens and treated as such.
And the way that they were
every culture.
Let him talk, Willie.
No, that's fine. The way that they were able to move beyond second-class citizen was to become white. Like
through the census.
That's how they were able to join the other classes, because then that whiteness allowed them access to so many other things.
And the census needed it that
Right.
way. Yeah, they needed the whites to remain a majority. So when the Irish were no longer trash, they were white. And the same with other, seemingly white cultures. Same with the Jews, even the light-skinned Cubans. Light-skinned Cubans come over, they could say once they were here, I'm white. But if you were a dark-skinned Cuban, you were still Cuban.
Yeah.
Of course, GD is racist. You don't call the Irish white; you call them drunks.
That's right.
That's true, and I apologize. That is a total lack of respect on my part, and I should be flogged down to the whiteness of my soul.
All-Star Comedy tonight at Gov's, and we're going to say goodbye to Gov so that GD can just go on a rant and just